Hey, it's Simon.
And this is Martina.
And we're broadcasting out of Kichijoji, Tokyo, Japan. The best part of Japan. I love it. We've been traveling so much lately, and every time we come back to Kichijoji, I'm just like, this is my home. I miss it here. I love it.
I must return to the Elven lands.
I must return. Though, traveling to other parts of Japan is definitely always fun.
Yeah.
It's always eye-opening and lets you see other kinds of life, other flows of life.
A whole new world.
But just coming back home to our neighborhood
fantastic point
always feels
view.
great. I love it here.
No one to
Tell us no or where to go. The copyright machine might cock us down.
Cock us down.
Knock us. I try to say knock
Copyright
and kill.
machine might
Knock and
cock
kill.
us down.
Whoa, one of our mics is a lot louder than
Mine
the
is
other.
really quiet because I can't hear
Okay.
myself.
Well,
But
there you go.
what I was going to say is that there's something that we finally had a chance. We practice what we preach.
Mm-hmm.
So we always tell people that are planning on coming to Japan to try not to pack their schedules in so densely,
Right.
to the point that they don't have time to actually experience something.
Exactly.
So for example, they might have 2 weeks in Japan or 1 week, and they'll be like, every single day we're going to do these things, and every day has like a list of 6 things.
That just sounds like a nightmare of a way to go.
Well, the reason we say that is because we've gone to Kobe many times,
Yes.
because our friends live in Kobe. They actually live just outside of Kobe in
Right.
like a small kind of oceany. First time the train pulled in there, we were both like, I can't believe
it's
we're
right by the
here.
beach. It's at Suma.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. But the point is that we've only met up with them, traveled out very rarely to Kobe for maybe meals, and pretty much we stayed and played board games, and we would catch up.
Right.
Because they're our friends from Korea.
When we've known them for a long
Yeah.
time, almost like 9 years now.
Yeah, it's true. And they're actually the ones that almost kind of put the final convincing of us to come to Japan, because we came to visit them, and we just fell in love with that area, and we almost moved to Kobe and Osaka.
It was our trip to Kobe, like the last time when we were still living in Korea. Like we visited them, they took us to the beach, and I'm like, this is just beautiful. And then we didn't really like Suma too much because it was very hilly, and we didn't want to.
Yeah,
walk
I had
up
a
too
hard
many
time
hills.
going up and down the hills.
But right beside Suma, there was an area called Ashiya, which was between Kobe and Osaka, and it was just gorgeous. It felt very Kichijoji-ish now that I think of it. You know, like the houses, and it was very flat and nice. And when we started speaking with our company that we wanted to
With Breaker,
that we wanted to move to Japan, and they're like, yeah, she is nice, but we need you in Tokyo.
Yeah, 'cause they're like, yeah, cool. No. That's just not going to work.
And I'm glad they insisted, because
Yeah.
Kichijoji is the greatest part of the world.
And we accidentally got there.
Yeah, suddenly got there.
So the point of this long story was that we never really had the chance to explore Kobe. Every time we went, we were hanging out with our friends, and we didn't really do what we normally do, which is waddle around.
Yeah.
And every time we've gone to Kobe for work,
Yeah.
we usually go in, you've got your work schedule, we end up back at the hotel.
Yep.
And this is the unglamorous part about being a YouTuber that people don't know about. You got to charge your batteries.
Yeah.
You got to take all the batteries out of your mics,
Oh
out of your
my
cameras.
God, yeah.
You're trying to find sockets in hope. You're unplugging fridges and TVs.
The end of a shoot is always like, I'm spending 2 to 3 hours just importing, sorting,
Going through all the
transcoding
cards.
footage, trying to make sure that everything is backed up and double backed up, because like we've had times in which we've lost some footage, and that's terrible, because like you traveled all the way down there to get something. If it's gone, then it's gone. So you got to like spend a lot of time afterwards.
And then you're exhausted because you've been shooting all day, carrying stuff around, and then you're like, we're just going to stay in the hotel room and go to sleep and get up the next morning early for our shoot. So this time we went to Kobe, and you guys might have seen our Instagram video that we popped up with that slow motion video of me standing on the Kobe harbor area.
All
The
right,
one where I'm turning around,
yeah.
and the only thing I want you guys to understand this. Flip your
goddamn
goddamn
hair.
hair. It's from Charlie's Angels, and it seems like nobody has seen this movie but me. So please let me know if you've seen.
No, I think Charlie's Angels is pretty popular.
No,
Just
people see it,
no,
and they've never seen it again.
There's a difference between people have never seen it versus what you do, which is throw it in a reference as many times as you can. Like, I mean, I saw it, but I'm not gonna quote it like the Bible verse. Like, you're like the pastor of Charlie's Angels.
And then Lucy Liu said it to Cameron Diaz,
Flippeth
flippeth
thine
thine goddamn hair. Anyhow, I really like that movie. I think it's one of the coolest, like, I'm not a girl power kind of like ranty person where I'm like, girl power, like constantly. I think girls have power already, but I believe that Charlie's Angel is such an amazing movie because they're good looking, they're fun, they're down to earth, they can kick butt. There's all these hilarious scenes where they like kind of pop the air out of typical good-looking people. Like when she's dancing in the club and everyone's like, this girl's terrible at dancing.
Right.
But she's so into it that everyone's kind of like, you know what? Passion is more important than precision. And like there's all these little lessons that I love about this
movie. Did they actually
movie.
say passion is more important than precision?
No, I just said that right now.
That's great. Yeah, that's a good one.
I mean, if you're an airplane pilot, I hope that
precision is more important than passion.
So, and if you're a doctor, I'd be like, precision is pretty.
A little bit more important than
passion. But when
passion.
it comes to things like dancing and being yourself, be yourself.
When it comes to things that don't have strict standards, then passion is more important than precision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not going to get you a job as a backup dancer.
We went to Kobe and we had the chance to interview the Kobe Beef Association.
Yeah.
And we're actually learning a lot about Kobe beef and also about like what isn't Kobe beef, because there's a lot of like fake stuff going around out there. A lot of restaurants are trying to capitalize off of the hype off of it. So we like are doing a very thorough the truth about Kobe beef kind of video. And it was, it was a big shoot. There was like doing an interview with somebody really high ranking is always like stressful for us.
Yeah, we're trying to get the lighting right for them. We want to make sure we're asking the right questions,
And they're as we're filming at the same time. So like they see the whole process, and then afterwards
we went to 3 different locations in 2 days. Like
when we were all done, we decided now's our chance to actually like walk around in Kobe without our friends like guiding us and like holding our hands and like saying like, oh, this is their favorite spot. We wanted to just try to discover spots on our own that nobody else has actually told us about.
And this is bringing back to the original point of what I said, which is practicing what we preach, because we've only gone to Kobe and experienced it through someone saying, you should come to this restaurant. Yeah. It's delicious. Then we went here. Yeah. And then we'd go to this karaoke and then we'd go home. And so we just got lost. Right. And gosh, Kobe is great.
Kobe is like, I'm thinking it might be my second favorite city now.
Go on then.
Like it was so like I really like there were some parts of it that were a bit too touristy and too busy. So Sanomiya Station, like right around there, it's like a lot of people like, hey, come on in, you want beef, 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 you want beef.
Everyone's like, here's beef.
Everyone's like, hey, some beef.
I get it. It's like it's a beef area. I understand that,
but it's just like walking around like down to like the Motomachi area and heading over towards Chinatown. I loved Chinatown.
You sure did.
It was just like we found these amazing little gyozas that are made. They have a little sauce that's a miso sauce that goes with it.
We posted this up on our stories,
our YouTube stories. So YouTube is starting to do its own stories feature, and like we did a little YouTube. So if you want to see it, you could check it out there.
Before you tell people what the miso sauce specialty is, you should describe the shop and what happened to us when we tried to order.
Oh, right. So we walked into the shop. So we heard some good things about it, and we're like, okay, we're going to try to find something
from the interwebs.
It took us a while to find it because it's like really like snaking around the alleys and whatnot. And we walked in and we sat there and we're like, okay, we'll have 2 servings of dumplings.
And this is a really small shop. It's like there is just a bar that wraps around the grilling station where they're grilling just gyoza. That's the only thing they do, and chahan. And then there's like 3 tables in the back that can fit like a maximum of probably 10 people.
It's all bad fluorescent lighting, no decorations.
No. And the problem was that the menu on the wall was written, now this is going to be a nerdy thing, it was written in hiragana. And now the reason this is confusing is because normally when you go for gyoza, even though it's Japanese dumplings, it's often written in Chinese. It's using kanji, which is like the characters. So I know how to read this in Chinese now or in Japanese, right? This place was like gyoza, like handwritten out in hiragana, and I'm like, what the?
Why?
Why? Because sometimes people want to distinguish, because I think my theory is that this shop was right beside Chinatown. Yeah. And they wanted to say there is Chinatown that serves gyoza.
That's a great theory.
It's my theory, but we are a Japanese gyoza shop.
So we'll write it in hiragana.
Yeah, that's my theory. The problem is that they had all this stuff written in hiragana, and then they had in brackets things like 7 or like 12, and then they had like this plus rice plus soup. And so I was like, okay, I've got this. We've got 7, we got 12, we can do the rice combo. And I'm like, we can do this. And then the guy comes up, we order it, and then he says to us something about the number of them.
Yeah, because like whenever we go, like for example, to Minmin, right? We did a video about Harmonica Alley, and when you go to Minmin, you order
a gyoza shop,
you order gyoza as a serving. Like we'll have 2 servings. Martina gets 5, I get 5. That's it. We ordered 2, and he's like, you can't order 2. I'm like, what? All right, I don't know. Osusume then. What's your recommendation? And then he's like, I don't know, just order something.
And we're like, we'll order 2.
Right.
Like,
and
he'll get 7, I'll get 7.
Eventually, like another like woman that was working there came, and she's like, okay, you should get 14 and 14. I'm like, okay, fine. I thought she just meant like 14 total, because like I said, when we go to Minmin, it's like I get 5, you get 5.
Yeah. So she's like Juyeon, like 14. And we're like, okay, daijobu.
Cool,
like that's
14
cool. Yeah, let's do that.
Nah, they gave me 14 and they gave you 14. And we looked at this and we're like, this is insane. I don't know how we're going to be able to eat all of this.
And then they have a little thing on the wall, which tells you how to make the dipping sauce. And this is what makes it extra unique. They have the container. Normally when you make gyoza, you have a kind of vinegar. It's clear vinegar. Then you have a soy sauce, but it's not a salty soy sauce. It's kind of like there's so many kinds of soy sauce. We really need to just make an episode about soy sauce, but it's kind of like a watered down, not super salty. And then they have usually a chili oil.
I think it's called rayu, isn't it?
Really?
Yeah.
Like a character from Street Fighter?
Yes, just like that guy. Let me see your punchies. A good one. I'm so glad for everybody that's listening to this rather than watching this, because put your fist down. Yeah.
Excuse me, I know how to punch. I was in karate.
You were.
Yes,
you were.
I literally know how to do what they're doing. Anyhow, this place has the hot oil, right? But this shop has a container of miso.
Yes.
Kind of a golden miso, which is usually like on the sweeter side.
A very smooth one, not chunky.
It looked like smooth peanut butter.
It very much looked like maybe like a diluted
smooth peanut butter.
And you're supposed to put 2 spoons of that.
Yep.
With 1 spoon of soy sauce. No, sorry, 1 spoon of raspberries. They call it, like, the translation said raspberries, so that was like the hot chili sauce.
Yeah.
And then a little bit of vinegar and a little bit of soy sauce. So we did that, and it was a delicious combination.
I'm mad that we're talking about this again because I want it.
Right. It's just absolutely tremendous stuff.
It's really, like, I hate to use the word umami, which I'm going to use it, but umami is not a snobby word. It is just literally one of the taste buds that we haven't really learned how to describe. You've got like bittersweet, salty.
I've only within the past like month or two have started to become comfortable with identifying umami in my flavors. Like kind of like, oh, that has an umami flavor. Before, just like I heard people saying it, I'm like, I think you're just a snobby hipster.
Yeah, we'd be like, I don't know what you're saying. I think you just made up a word.
Now I know umami's a real thing.
Yeah, the reason why we didn't know umami before was because we just didn't taste it.
Right.
It's like someone telling you that something is really sweet and you've never had anything sweet. Like imagine spending your whole life having things that are bitter or salty, and then you're like, sweet is not a thing, and you're like, no, like
but
try
when they
this.
did describe that umami is supposed to be like the savory kind of feeling, that the fullness in your mouth, and
it
the
fills
best
your whole mouth. Like,
it's like a ketchup chip. And as Canadians, I know that ketchup chips have their own kind of flavor that it ain't ketchup.
All dressed. All dressed in ketchup chips.
It kind of like fills the back of your throat, gets you salivating.
Yeah. When you have like a really good ramen or really good udon, like we've done the skei ramen. Skeimen.
It's gay-men.
It's gay-men.
It's gay-men.
It's gay-men. That's how I have to remember it. It's gay-men.
It's gay. Look over there.
Look over there. It's
Queer for the straight guy.
Oh, it's gay-men.
Oh,
I missed that show. Anyhow.
We still have episodes we
haven't watched. I know, but we've been holding back because we're worried that we're going to go through them too fast.
I know.
But anyways, that kind of broth that was made with the katsuo, like the fish, shaved fish, and like the meat, all that stuff gives this flavor in your mouth. You're like, whoa! That's what was happening with this. The miso paste and the salty soy sauce and the vinegar cutting just like a little bit of a punch.
It was tremendous sauce, but we did have 14 dumplings each, which at first looked like a lot, and then we finished them all super fast.
I was like, oh, we're done.
And then there were 2 girls that sat down beside us, and they got 21 each. And I'm like, oh, shit, I should have got 21.
Yeah.
But it was a tremendous place. And
you know why I think we thought that it was going to be too much? Because most gyozas that we have, the skin is quite thick on the outside.
Yeah.
It's not doughy. It's just that it's holding a lot of meat or filling.
Yeah.
These ones were thin.
They're very, very thin.
They were so thin that they were almost like crispy. Like when you bit into them, it was like on the outsides. While gyozas normally are kind of like a pulling. We need to make a video on gyoza.
Why haven't we?
Because we
like
had a favorite shop, and the shop is open. Like we're open on Tuesdays.
There's
and
a
Thursdays
place in Ikebukuro that had like the best gyoza that I've ever had. But now I think they only do takeout. And like before, you had to like wait half an hour in line for it, and it's only open on like 3 random days a week.
With weird hours.
Random hours, because they're too old. People are like, yeah, we got enough money. We're fine. We'll just make gyozas whenever we want.
And it's one dude that makes them, and his like wife helps serve them, and he's like, you're gonna wait an hour and a half.
I don't care. Take it or leave it, Buster.
Yeah, it's really great.
But that's anyhow, not our favorite part of Kobe though. That gyoza. We had another experience.
So hang on. So that night we had our gyoza.
Yes.
And then after we had our gyoza, we were still hungry, and we waddled through Chinatown, which was just like amazing fluorescent lights and paper lanterns, and just they had this big Chinese horoscope area. Right. And then you got yourself a little Peking duck wrap.
Yeah, I haven't had Peking duck in a while. Like I had one. Martina had one.
With the steam bun and like the chopped
really
cucumbers.
Thin, like doughy wrap thing on it. It tastes like a glutinous tortilla.
Yeah, it's a steam bun of some kind. Yeah.
It's not a bun though. It's like just like a thin saran wrap.
There was some tragedy that struck that night.
Martina bit into her Peking duck wrap, and Peking duck has like, you know, like they had a little, like I think it's hoisin sauce or so. They have like little julienne cucumbers. Yeah. They have some duck meat and then some really crispy duck skin.
That's like the part that
That's the best part of it.
The crispy duck skin.
Well, Martina bit into it, and then her crispy duck skin fell on the ground.
No.
And here's a question that we had. I'm like, does the 5-second rule apply? And Martina's like, this is Chinatown. No. And I'm like, but this is Japan. Yes.
And I'm like
Japan is clean enough, I think, to be able to eat off the ground, even if it's a Chinatown. Because like I'm used to like the Chinatown back in Toronto. I would not eat anything off the ground.
I wouldn't eat anything that came close to the ground.
A meter off the ground. As soon as it starts falling, like it's already gone.
Yeah.
You know?
There's like gum and.
But it was so super clean here. I thought maybe. Just maybe.
Yeah, but
just let me eat duck skin off the ground.
It's not about the fact that it's Chinatown. Yeah. It's about the fact that people go party in those areas.
Right.
And so you don't go to areas where people barfed in corners. You and I sat on the, like we were not drunk at all. Okay. No. We didn't drink anything.
No.
But we were sitting like really hilariously Korean people because there's like this squat that people do when they're waiting, and I've just gotten used to it over time.
Well, it's also the Russian squat.
Yeah, so it's the squat where you just squat on the ground and you eat something, and then it fell, and I was like, it's gone. Because for sure, if I'm squatting there, someone squatted there to throw up. And then it was cleaned because it's Japan. But that was like an old puke place probably.
I wanted to eat it, Martina.
I wouldn't let him.
You wouldn't let me.
I was like, you're not eating this off the ground.
I almost wanted to distract
Plus,
Martina.
the next day we had a shoot, and I said, do you really want to risk Chinatown duck skin and have violent diarrhea?
Yes, because we had to shoot the next day. If I didn't have a shoot the next day, then nothing would have kept me away from that duck skin.
I would have stepped on it. I would have stepped on it and kicked it.
Your shoes are so clean already because you're outside in Japan.
Okay, all right. It's like Singapore, so clean.
You're avoiding my favorite part of the story from Kobe.
Yes, go on.
In which a Korean old lady hustled you. We were walking around other parts of Kobe.
Yes.
Around Sanomiya Station, they have these little back alleys that are like right underneath the tracks. Super, super narrow, really tight, small shops. They had like little bakeries and small izakayas, pretty much just standing room only.
And we were there at nighttime, so the most of the stuff that was open, they were bars, right? And so we were really hungry. And as we were walking, I passed by a place, and just out of the corner of my ear, I heard Korean, like on TV or something.
Well, also outside, they had pictures of Big Bang.
Yeah, so they had. So I stopped and I looked and I saw pictures of Big Bang. I'm like, I don't know what's happening here, but it feels like it's the place for me. So we stick our heads inside, and it only has. It's like a snacku, which is difficult to explain in English, but. There's like a woman behind the counter who usually is chatting and like not flirting, but a little bit flirty with people, paying attention to you, but it's not like a prostitution thing. It's just like a, hey, I'm going to make you feel happy tonight to eat food at my place. Yeah. So we went in there. It's all old men. There's 2 old men on the corner. There's another old man. They're all like smoking cigarettes. And this place is hardcore Korean. We can see banchan out on the front table.
They had like yangnyeom chicken there, like saran wrap. They had like lots of, they had like little pajeon there as well. They had lots of like Koreanish things there.
Yeah. So we stuck our head inside and we were like, 스미마센. And then we went, 한국 사람이에요. And then she's like, 어떡해. And then she's like, 한국 사람이에요. And we're like, 어떡해요. And so we came inside.
So we like, we said, are you Korean?
Are you Korean?
Right? Because like we heard her talking to the other guy. I'm like, hey, you're speaking Korean. Because there was another guy there that was Japanese, like 2 of the older men that were sitting to the right of us. They actually spoke Korean as well, but they were Japanese guys.
Yeah, and she was speaking Japanese and Korean. It was kind of like a mixture.
So then like we sat down beside them. So we were speaking Korean and Japanese mixes between her and the Japanese guys.
Yes.
And we were like asking very basic questions back and forth because like we're forgetting a lot of Korean along the way, but we were still able to, for a good hour and a bit, like talk about like our favorite foods, like our favorite sojus.
Where we live.
Where do we live? Where do we visit? She actually lived like one station over from, like we used to live in Shindorim and she lived in Guro. So she was very close to us.
Guro-dong.
Yes. And she's like, oh, hell this. And we're like, oh, we used to go here and we used to go there. And, you know, we talked a lot about it, and we're like, oh, is this a pojang matcha? And she's like, no, it's not. But then when we looked outside, we're like, this little plastic wrap here,
there's like a plastic curtain feeling,
looks just like. She's like, oh, you're right.
Because she kept calling it an izakaya, and I'm like, izakaya. It is an izakaya. But I'm not saying it's not, but this is like a pojang matcha.
It looks like a pojang matcha.
A pojang matcha is not anything bad. It's just like when you watch a Korean drama and you see them at the end of their day go to like a little plastic wrapped hut where they go in and have like kimbap and tteokbokki, like places like that are like considered to be.
But it was lovely because then the guy beside us was to the left of us was very impressed that like we were speaking Korean and Japanese, and he bought some makgeolli for us,
and we were like, oh boy,
I don't know.
So if you're new to our channel, You don't know the story of the fact that makgeolli is like an unfiltered rice drink.
Yeah.
And the first time Simon and I lived in Korea ever, which was like, we lived there for 8 years.
Yeah.
We had the worst hangover of our life.
Yeah.
Having
to this day, it's the worst hangover I've ever had in my life.
One of the best experiences ever, which we'll share for another day.
Sure.
But it was like this hippie bar where we all started drinking makgeolli together with a woman.
There
was an accordion karaoke.
It was a great
amazing.
Memory, but the
just puking we'd take the bus back to Bucheon.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Simon's like, I just can't do makgeolli anymore. And then this guy's like, I'll buy fresh makgeolli for everyone. And we were like,
I don't want to be rude, but here we go. So then he bought us some. And then the other guy, the Japanese guys to the right of us, actually like bought us some as well. So we drank a lot more. And the guy that was like speaking Korean to our right, the Japanese guy on the left was like, are you sure you're a Japanese person? And the guy's like, yeah, I'm Japanese. And he's like, I don't believe you. And the old guy had to pull out his ID card and say like, look.
And he was really upset about that.
Yeah, it's like, I am Japanese. Here's my ID. Like, this is where I was born. This is my name. There's some tensions,
you know. But hang on a second. The interesting part about this whole evening is that I experienced the first time in my life understanding why it's hard to understand someone with an accent. Because this guy was Japanese and he was, remember how old he was?
To the left or to the right?
To the right, the guy who's speaking Korean.
He was 74.
74 years old, drinking at this bar, right? We were like, he didn't look 74 at all. But he was speaking he's Japanese, but he was speaking Korean, but his Korean had a little bit more of a Japanese accent.
Right.
So I was really struggling to understand some of the words. And I thought, this is exactly like when we first lived in Korea.
Sure.
And we spoke Korean, and people had never heard a foreigner speak Korean.
Yeah.
So they didn't know what we were saying.
Right.
Like when we came to Japan, the reason why we always say we're amazed that people can understand our Japanese is because I think they're just used to having foreigners.
Different accents.
Of all, like lots of people here that are Indian will be speaking perfect Japanese, but you can hear that they have an Indian accent, right?
While when we were in Korea, like if we spoke Korean with any kind of accent, we're like, they just had no idea what we were saying.
Unless they lived like overseas and then they understood. So this was my first time to be like, I am struggling to understand.
Definitely having a tough time.
Yeah. And it was just a really bizarre experience to me. But we all kind of like bonded and had really fun stories. And so keep in mind, we've been chatting in Korean and Japanese the whole night. And we decide to go. So we're like, we're going to head out.
Because like my brain started to get really fuzzy.
I was exhausted.
Like we were talking like Japanese, Korean, barely any English at the same time.
We just done a shoot.
I just had some makgeolli as well, like 2 big gourds of it. I'm like, this is a bit too much. I need to get going.
So Simon pays the bill and he pops outside. And as I'm getting off my chair, the woman, she already told me to call her onni, which is like kind of like older sister. Like it's a very like affectionate term. And I was calling her emo instead of ajuma, right? She's like, hey, and she says this in Korean to me. What's your phone number? And I get like a sinking in my stomach because I do not want to be giving out my phone number, let alone giving it out to a woman that I just met and like having to deal with Korean conversations and for what reason.
Right.
And
you know why? Because I don't want anyone to call me ever.
I don't like talking to people
I don't
want
to talk to anyone on the phone.
If you never want to talk to anyone on the phone.
No, just
text messaging
no,
only.
Please. No, I don't want to talk to anybody.
I have purchased emojis explicitly so that I can express all my feelings.
Without having to use my voice.
Angry emojis. I have dancing emojis. I have sexy ones. I have everything you need to express things.
Right.
Please don't call me. Anyways, I suddenly forget all my Korean. I'm like, I don't
know. What is the Hanguk language?
So then she changes, instead of asking for my phone number, she's like Chonobono, which is also phone number. And I'm like, I just don't understand. And I'm like pouring sweat.
But
and
then
I'm just about to be like, I'm sorry, I don't know. And the guy on the corner finally says, like, kind of in a broken English, he's like, she doesn't understand. Like, and I'm like, thank you for giving me this out. And then Simon pops his head back in, kind of like, what's going on? Why? What's this hold up? And she says one more time, like, what's her phone number?
Except she doesn't say like friendly, like, she's like, what's your phone number?
Yeah. Like really
she had like I'm done with, you understood everything up until now. Tell me your phone number.
I'm like a girl at a club who's like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, I don't understand what you're saying.
I don't understand.
So Simon hears her say the word like Chonombono, and he goes, Chonombono, phone number. But he didn't realize that she was asking for my phone number. He just kind of heard it and was trying to help translate.
Because you look like genuinely, like you're such a good actress.
I'm an actress.
And you're like, Martina genuinely looks like she needs help with this. Let me be the nice one to help her. So you gave her your phone number.
I gave her my phone number.
We don't know what she wants.
I had to give her my phone number because she opened it up to the phone dialing one.
Yeah.
Not the one where you put it in like a notepad and give someone the wrong number.
No, she's
which
like, call your phone right now in front of me.
So I actually typed in the wrong number and then I had to erase it because I realized what was happening.
Yeah.
I typed in my phone number, handed it to her. She called it. My phone rang. I'm like, there it is. And there you are.
And then the day when we came back from Kobe, she called you.
And I didn't
answer. And he never will.
I'm sorry, Ajima.
I never will.
Emo, I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Forgive me.
There's nothing against
it's
you.
Too stressful.
I just hate talking on the phone.
I can't even call my hairdresser. My hair is so ratty.
It's so long. Cut your hair, you hippie woman, you.
I can't. It's so stressful to be on the phone.
So that's it for our Kobe adventures. This is going long. Like our camera's just about to die here.
Okay, so we gotta head out. But guys, thanks for listening to our stories. Sorry it's been so long for our podcast. We've been very busy doing lots of things, running around.
We were in Akita. We were in Kobe. Akita. We're about to go to Yamaguchi, and we're thinking about Ishikawa as well. No, Ishigaki. I don't know. One of those two. But we're doing a lot of traveling now, and so we've fallen in love behind.
But anyhow, we'll try to keep up as best as we can with our podcasts. Thanks for listening, guys. Have an excellent week. And I know you can read my mind. Never really knew that she could dance like this. She make the men want to speak Spanish. Como se le da? Sí. Bonita. Sí. Me casa. Shakira, Shakira. Bailando.
Bailando. I want a Cheeto with Don Cheeto in a Speedo with a burrito. I can take no more.
I can take no more.
Down in Ecuador.
On El Salvador.